Welcome to Local Matters. Today, we begin with the Plymouth Area Coalition, a local nonprofit assisting individuals and families with shelter, food, and other basic necessities so that they can build on their strengths and their potential as independent members of society. Julie Thompson invited Chief Executive Officer Sue Giovanetti via Zoom to talk about how the coalition is serving and adapting.
So pleased to welcome Sue Giovanetti, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Plymouth Area Coalition for the Homeless. Welcome, Sue. Thank you so much for being here today.
And thank you for having us.
Can you just tell the audience a little bit about what the coalition does, exactly what you're responsible for?
Sure. So Plymouth Area Coalition, we were established in 1985 in response to the community's awareness that there were many people living in the state forest and in their cars. So the prevalence of homelessness had started in the community. And so it was a response to that by citizens. And from that point, our first and foremost, our mission is to provide emergency assistance shelter. For the larger part of that time, we've provided emergency assistance shelter for families. So children are always the common denominator. Our clients living in shelter will always have children as part of the family unit. So, but in addition to being a homeless shelter, we also provide other supportive services. So we have a very, very active food pantry that's also been in existence since the early days. We service 22 communities across the South Shore. So, our reach is pretty great. We have what we call the FAIR program. That's a family and individual resource program that provides household items, clothing, and furniture when it's available and we have it to families that need that type of assistance. The surplus of those items goes into the Coalition Thrift Shop, which makes clothing and household items available to families at a nominal rate. It's been a great success, and the revenue from the thrift shop goes right back into the coalition programs. The backbone of everything we do really is our education program. So from the time a family comes into shelter, we're providing educational programming to help build them up and strengthen the families so that they then can become self-sustainable and achieve the ultimate goal of permanent housing. So permanent affordable housing. So that's a snapshot of what we do. We do other things. We have a 24/7 emergency assistance hotline, so we can do referrals at any time. We are staffed 24/7. And we also are very proud to be the organization that runs the Children's Holiday Fund. So through that, we provide holiday gifts, clothing, and meals to families in need across our region. So there's a lot going on and a lot of programs to balance.
How many people, families, or total do you serve at one time?
So the shelter can house 12 families.
Okay.
So those families can, they can go from one child to any number.
Okay.
Every family composition is different, but we have 12 units for families.
And the ultimate goal is to provide them enough assistance and enough education and enough support services so that they can move out of there into their own place, affordable place.
Absolutely. Okay. First and foremost, we want to find them housing that's affordable and can help them live as a family on their own.
That's wonderful. Now, how has this COVID-19 situation impacted the number of people that require your services?
So as far as the shelter is concerned, we're full 365 days a year. So we're always full. Unfortunately, the need for housing is great, and particularly, in the area that we serve, because affordable housing is so rare, there are a lot of homeless families. So the demand is always there. It's constant. We're looking now to actually double our capacity so that we can provide more services to families in need. That's, the need is out there. It's not diminishing.
Yeah. Now, what about social distancing and keeping the people that are there safe, both the staff and the families who are there living?
Yeah. So we have done from even pre. I believe it was March 5th or 6th, right in that area. We started protocols of requesting that clients wear masks. We started right away limiting any visitors into the shelter. So if clients had counselors or any other kind of visit, it had to be done outside of the facility. So we really were doing everything we could to restrict any outside chances that any infection could come into the building. Hand sanitizers were part and parcel of what we did already. We have wall-mounted hand sanitizers all throughout the building on a normal course. But certainly we made available to the families individual hand sanitizers.
Sure.
We do everything we can to encourage folks, and we've got signage we've changed up now a couple of times in the building so that just keeping people aware.
Yep. Now, children, you have a lot of children there, and are they part of the school system, and how did that whole thing work with the remote learning for the children? That must have been a challenge.
Well, it is because, and actually I think today might be the very last day for one of our kids.
Of school,
yeah. So the children in the shelter go to multiple different districts to school. It all depends on what their family chooses. The majority of them go to Kingston Elementary or Silver Lake. That said, however, we have them that also attend schools across the region because through the McKinney-Vento Act, they are allowed to return to the school system that they were attending when their family went homeless. So transportation does come and pick children up on a daily basis under normal circumstances. Mm-hmm. We'll pick them up and take them to their school. So during this crisis with COVID, it has been a challenge. The school districts have been phenomenal in providing the students with tablets or laptop so that they can do their work.
Right.
But as you can imagine, and from what I'm hearing from everyone that we know in the community, it's very difficult to become the teacher.
Right.
And, you have to have the inclination and the ability to be able to do that. And I mean, we have quiet places where they can go off and do their work. But it's been hard. It's been very hard. I can't say enough about the school systems and how they all have homeless coordinators, and they've reached out to us, and we've worked with them trying to do the best we can. Yeah. We had, what we have done is really made a big effort to have a lot of books around for the kids of all ages and the adults for that matter, to encourage reading while all of this has been going on. And hopefully just that it becomes part of a learned habit, and part of their life, their daily life. So we had a family, a man and woman in Plymouth who took it on as a project, and they went to bookstores and libraries and have really, we're approaching almost 1,000 books that they've been phenomenal.
So the outpouring from the community has been outstanding.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah,
it's been
as usual. Yeah,
it has. Yes, it has been extraordinary. So this whole book program is phenomenal. We're working on how we're going to do some Zoom book reading and maybe come up with some kind of incentive program over the summer to encourage reading. But there's a lot of great stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Now, is there things that you need, that you're looking for, that people can donate, that can help with it? What are you in need of right now?
So, I mean, in the shelter, we need the same thing every family needs. We need bed pillows desperately. We need twin size sheets. We need towels. So that's like on the shelter side, because we have so many people that we're moving through. They take a lot of use. So those type of things we desperately need. We're pretty well set at the moment on masks and hand sanitizer. The food pantry is where we are really feeling the need. Our requests for food assistance have quadrupled since March. So that's on the food side. We're desperately, as soon as the food comes in, it goes out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the most dramatic thing that we have observed is that, and it should be no surprise to anyone, because so many people are new to the system. There are so many middle and lower middle class families that have lost their jobs, or are going through transition with COVID. They're not used to having to go to food pantries, or haven't learned how to go to DTA and get onto SNAP. And so we're seeing people that you would never see come through. What I can honestly say in all the programs we have is that compassion is, it's a prerequisite if you're going to be part of the work that we do. And our food pantry people in particular are incredibly compassionate and understanding, and really do a nice job of working with families as they, and individuals as they, come looking for assistance. So, and we're proud of that.
Food pantries and stuff for the beds is something you'd always use. Sue,
Yes.
Thank you so much for shining a little bit of light on this. And you're right, the community in this area is phenomenal. We've heard that from so many nonprofits, and especially the work you're doing. I can't even imagine the extra set of challenges that you're meeting every single day. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Take care now.
Take care. Elizabeth, back to you.
Thank you, Julie and Sue. The Plymouth Area Coalition is such a wonderful resource in our community. Impact Boston is offering free online classes for the LGBTQ+ community every week during Pride Month, thanks to the generous support of the Boston Pride Community Fund. Next week's class is Negotiating in Relationships, offering practical skills to advocate for yourself while respecting the needs of others. Learn strategies for effective communication in personal relationships, and practice identifying what you are and are not willing to compromise. This workshop will also discuss nonverbal communication, how body language and tone of voice affect our interactions. To register and get the Zoom link for this free class, email instructor Adriana Lee with your name and pronouns at ally@impactboston.org. The COVID-19 pandemic is unfortunately not the first time an outbreak has impacted the world. The influenza of 1918 infected 500 million people worldwide over the course of 15 months. While we are in the midst of our own health crisis, it is important to look back on this tragic time in history on a local level. On June 25th, take part in a live presentation and discussion with town historian Tony Kelso. Learn how this event impacted the town of Duxbury and how we can use the past to understand our present circumstances. This event is free and open to all. To register, visit the Duxbury Senior Center Facebook page. Together with the Duxbury Free Library, the Duxbury Senior Center is celebrating Little Women by Louisa May Alcott in a very special Booked for Lunch program on June 25th. The virtual program will feature Christine Tobin, food stylist for the film, Maddie Hoff, costume designer, and Mr. Lawrence, played by Academy Award-winning actor Chris Cooper. They'll be sharing some behind-the-scenes stories about filming the movie. Visit the Duxbury Free Library Facebook page to register. Is your faithful friend a party animal? Beach Dogs Daycare and Enrichment Center in Plymouth is inviting you and your dog to a free play party on Saturday, June 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The first 20 people to arrive get a free dog toy. To register, visit the daycare's website. Brenna Giuliani is a Plymouth North High School student looking to make a difference in the lives of residents who rely on food pantries to get them through. She is currently selling handcrafted signs to raise money for the South Shore Community Action Council, which provides services for over 20,000 people in need. Brenna took the time to tell us more.
Hi, my name is Brenna Giuliani and I'm a 9th grader at Plymouth North High School. At the beginning of the quarantine, my family and I started delivering food to the elderly through the South Shore Community Action Council. As time went on, I saw that the number of stops increased while the amount of food stayed the same. I knew that I needed to do something more, and I was inspired by a girl in Whitman who raised money for her food pantry by selling Whitman Strong signs. I wanted to do the same thing, so I created a design and I've started selling Plymouth Strong signs. I've sold over 500 signs and raised almost $6,000. It has been incredibly rewarding to see the support and generosity of our community. I've also loved seeing how we can come together in such a difficult time. If you would like to buy a sign, they are $15 each and you can pay by Venmo, cash, or check. The Venmo is Plymouth-Strong and you can make a check out to the SSCAC. If you would like to order a sign, you can email us at plymouthstrong@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Plymouth Strong. Please join me in showing support for frontline workers and helping stop food insecurity at a time like this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brenna. You represent what it means to be Plymouth Strong. Have you been having more vivid dreams lately? Deidre Barrett, PhD, is Harvard faculty and the author of The Committee of Sleep and the forthcoming Pandemic Dreams. On June 25th from 7 to 8:30 p.m., join Dr. Barrett and the Museum of Science for an exploration of the scientific and psychological meanings of our dreams. Learn about her current study of dreaming during COVID times and what the metaphors of dreams tell us about our deeper unconscious. Dr. Barrett will discuss techniques that can influence our dreams away from repetitive anxiety and toward creative problem solving. This program is free thanks to the generosity of the Lowell Institute. To register, visit the Museum of Science Facebook page. Our country was founded by rebels. Author Nina Sankovic and the Thomas Crane Library are presenting a live YouTube event to discuss how the Hancock, Adams, and Quincy families fanned the flames of the Revolution. In Discover New England, American Rebels, Nina will join the library via Zoom to explore how the desire for independence cut across class lines and bound people together, leaving loyalists behind as rebels pursued the common goals of opportunity, liberty, and stability. To RSV to this free program, visit the Thomas Crane Public Library Facebook page. What sounds great, is Irish, and has plenty of green? This next video from the Lindsays.
Hi, we're the Lindsays, and we're going to give you a song called Only Our Rivers Run Free. Blossoms will bloom from each tree. Leaves are still green in December. Then not our land will be free. Wandered our hills and our valleys. Still through my sorrow I see our land death of her manhood. For those men who'd rather have died than to live in the cold chains of bondage. Bring back the rights were denied. Where are you now when we need you? What burns where the flame used to be? Are you gone like the snows of last winter? Still only our rivers run free. Mellow the wine, but it's dry. Fragrant the rose, but it's dying. Gentle the wind, but it sighs. The good is in youth when we're aging. The joy are in eyes that can't see. When the sorrow in sunshine and flowers, still only our rivers run free.
Plato said, "Music gives a soul to the universe." Thank you, Sue and Steve and Lindsay, for giving soul to the local scene. Over the years, the Plymouth Public Library has been the beneficiary of beautiful artworks donated by generous patrons, many of which have been successfully auctioned to benefit the library's mission. The library has many more pieces, though, that might look great on your walls, and is happy to announce the launch of their new Arts for Books website. There, you can search through dozens of artworks, as well as some books and a few other items. All proceeds go to support the library and its mission.
Hi, this is your art caretaker and Miss Penny the dog reporting to you from the secret art vaults of the Plymouth Public Library Corporation. Look at all this fabulous art. We have art from Plymouth, art from Massachusetts, art from our country, and art from countries all over the world. Look at all this fabulous art. Even more art. Where did all this art come from? It came from people like you who made a generous donation to the Plymouth Public Library Corporation. We are now going to use all this art in our fundraisers and also to sell back to you, the public. You, in turn, will give us small, in some cases larger American dollars that we will use to fund all the free cultural and educational programs that we provide for the greater Plymouth area. Where can you look at and buy this art? Well, we created a new art site just for this. It is called artforbooksppl.com. If you go to that site, you'll see all this art that our fabulous artists created. Artists like Miss Penny the dog. Miss Penny, would you like to give the peoples a demonstration of your art prowess? Yes, I would. Okay, let's go to the art easel. Here we go. Woof, woof, woofer, woof, woofin, woof, woof. Miss Penny the dog, What a fabulous piece of art you have created. Art for Books, PPL. The PPL stands for Plymouth Public Library.com. Well, that's all for now. Wave goodbye. Ciao. Ciao. See you.
Visit the website, take a look, and help the library and your decor at the same time. The Plymouth Farmers Market is back, but in a new way. David Purpura has details on how you can order produce, meats, and other essentials from small businesses in our region.
Hi, I'm Dave Purpura, and I run the Plymouth Farmers Market, which is typically held Thursdays at the Plymouth Plantation. We're a year-round market, big festival type, open air, kids activities, food, music, all that. Obviously, we're unable to run that type of a market right now because of regulations and all. So we're holding a much more abbreviated sort of essential market at the Mayflower Brewing Company, currently changing to Wednesdays because of all kinds of other factors. And we did a prepaid curbside type thing over the winter when all this started to sort of gauge the community's reaction and see what they wanted. And so based on that, we're carrying food that we seem to deem essential. So we've got produce, cheese, eggs, meat, chicken, seafood, a couple of bakers, and a guy doing prepared food for takeaway. So that's what we're doing right now. I think it's really important for farmers like myself and for the community to be able to have a place that we can bring this food to. It's already in the ground, it's planned and planted for the season. So we need a place for it to go, and the local community seems to want that access. I think it's also, what we saw here is how fragile like the supermarket industrial food supply chain is, with things running out and chicken and you can't get eggs and dairy and all that stuff. I mean, I think it's really important to have a more diversified local system that people can count on. So I hope we'll see you down at the Mayflower Brewery, currently on Wednesdays, but subject to change. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Good food is locally sourced food. Cape Cod storyteller Jenny Lee brings you the spellbinding tales of Hannah Crana.
My name is Jenny Lee, and today I'm going to tell you the story of Hannah Crana, the Witch of Monroe. Everyone in Monroe knew that Hannah Crana was a witch. Rumors of her witchery started when she was still a young and beautiful bride, and married to an old sea captain named James Hovey. Hovey died one summer in very mysterious circumstances, tumbling to his demise from a cliff he had walked thousands of times in broad daylight. The people of Monroe used to say Hannah must have put a curse of confusion on him. And from there, the rumors only grew, especially as Hannah herself grew from a beautiful young woman into a wrinkled old hag, the perfect picture of the witch they all knew her to be, with hair long, gray, and scraggly, with skin that hung from her face like curtains, with eyes pitch black. And the stories. Oof. I heard tell of one woman from Monroe who it said was famous up and down the coast of New England for her delicious pies. One summer day, Hannah Crana came up to this woman's window and asked her for a slice of her best pie. But the woman gave Hannah only the measliest little slice, and when Hannah asked for more, the woman flatly refused. Hannah turned away, muttering under her breath, and from that day forward, the woman couldn't get a decent pie out of the oven to save her life. Her crusts would come out black and cracked no matter how lovingly she attended them, and her fillings always turned to a sour sludge no matter how much sugar she added. Another story goes that one day Hannah found a young boy fishing in her creek without her permission, and again she muttered under her breath, and from that day forward, that boy could catch no fish, no matter what bait he used. But the worst was what she did to the sailors. Oh, Hannah hated sailors. It's said possibly because her own husband, whom she wasn't terribly fond of, was a sailor. Any time a ship would wreck on the shoals near New Haven, the people of Monroe knew Hannah Crana must have gone down to the shore that night and muttered her curses and dragged the ships into the shallows where they wrecked upon the rocks. And afterwards, she would scurry about the wrecks, digging up all the gold and treasures she could from the hulls and bringing them back to her little cottage in the woods. It was soon said that the walls of Hannah Crana's house were lined with gold. Now, making such a nuisance of herself as this wasn't long before the people of Monroe began to sit and wonder when that cranky old witch would finally lay down and die. And it was one cold winter when she finally obliged them. Hannah had a familiar, a huge black rooster named Old Boreas. And he was as hated in the town of Monroe as his mistress, for he was constantly making a nuisance of himself as well, always going about and pecking at ankles and scaring house cats and giving the loudest, most hideous shrieking crows. Well, one day, in the middle of winter, he clambered up to the top of the gate in front of Hannah's house, and he gave the 3 loudest, cruelest, shrieking crows he ever gave. And at the end of the 3rd, he fell over dead. And Hannah knew something. She made her way into town, and she opened the door of the meeting house, and she said to the bewildered people there, "In 3 days, I will die. And you must follow these instructions to the letter. I have no family to leave my riches to, and so if you follow my instructions, I will leave all the contents of my house to the good people of this town." Now the people knew that Hannah's house was lined with gold, and so they listened very carefully, and these were the instructions she gave. 1, you must bury me in the churchyard in a cedar coffin. 2, you must carry me to the churchyard on your shoulders, not on a cart or a sled. And 3, you must bury me before the sun sets the very day I die. And with that, she walked out. And as she walked out, a snow began to fall, and it fell thick and deep for 3 days. And finally, on the 3rd day, as the snow stopped falling, Hannah Crana fell over dead. Now the people of the town hurried to her house. It was late in the day when she died, and they knew they only had an hour or 2 of light left to bury her in the yard. So they brought the cedar coffin, and they started for the churchyard. But the snow was so thick and deep that they couldn't, for the life of them, walk Hannah Crana to the churchyard with her coffin upon their shoulders as she wanted. They decided they would have to break one of her rules, and they placed her coffin on a sled, and they began to pull it out of the yard. But as soon as they got to the gate, where old Boreas 3 days earlier had fallen over dead, Hannah's coffin jumped off the cart and slid all the way down the garden path and slammed into her front door with a loud thump. The men quickly gathered up the coffin again and put it back on the sled and tried to pull it back toward the yard. And again, as soon as they got to the gate, that coffin jumped right off the sled and bumped straight into her front door again. 3 more times they tried this, and 3 times the same result, until finally they realized they would have to follow Hannah's instruction to the letter. And they hefted her coffin upon their shoulders, and they trudged all the way to the churchyard. But the time was already wasted. And when they finally laid the coffin to rest and said a quick prayer, the sun had long since set. Nothing terrible was happening so far, so they thought perhaps Hannah would be merciful and allow them the riches of her house, even though they hadn't buried her before the sunset. And they hurried back to her house as quickly as they could. But as they came, they saw Hannah's house engulfed in flames. A fire so hot that no snow or water would penetrate it. And all they could do was sit there and watch, and for 3 days that fire burned. And at the end of the 3 days, when it was finally cool enough to pick through the ashes, the townspeople scraped and clawed through the remains, trying to find any gold they could, but not one piece could be found. Were the rumors of gold always a myth? Or had Hannah played one last trick from beyond the grave? To this day in Monroe, no one knows. But you say the name Hannah Crana anyone near New Haven, Connecticut, and you'll be met with a scowl and a curse. and a great gladness that that old witch finally breathed her last.
Thanks, Jenny. It's great to see the art of storytelling is alive and well. For more information about Jenny, visit the Northeast Storytelling website. And now, Erica Christensen is here with our school update.
The Be a Light campaign is a collaborative effort by all 12 Patriot League high schools. The initiative was started in Texas back in April and has raced across the states and nation over the last few weeks. I was approached by Silver Lake Athletic Director Martha Jameson to take the footage from each Patriot League high school and compile it in a way that would honor our seniors and spring 2020 athletes for their perseverance whom were not able to complete their school year due to the coronavirus pandemic. At 8:20 p.m. or 2020 military time, schools turned on their stadium lights for 20 minutes and lit up their fields once a week through the remainder of the school year. They captured footage of their fields and scoreboards, displaying 2020 in the time and the scores. To keep the socially distancing guidelines in place and removing the worry of civilians gathering, this was not announced to the public. This video was created for the public to enjoy after the fact. The high schools involved in the spectacular commemorations were in the towns of Winman-Hanson, Silver Lake, Pembroke, Quincy and North Quincy, Plymouth South, Plymouth North, Hingham, Duxbury, Scituate, Marshfield, and Hanover. Please enjoy. Both Silver Lake Regional High School and Pembroke High School held senior parades as a tribute to the students. Teachers, staff, and family lined each campus and cheered them through the school, allowing students to see familiar faces one last time. Students were able to decorate their cars, showing their school pride as they traveled through the predetermined route to their schools. Pembroke High School held theirs on May 29th, and Silver Lake held theirs on May 30th. Each of the parades were filled with music, laughter, tears, but an overall sense of joy, with everyone being able to say their goodbyes. The full-length parades are on each of their respective YouTube channels. You can find Silver Lake's on Laker TV and Pembroke High's on Titan TV. We are so proud of the seniors, and we're pleased to be able to capture these precious moments between the students and faculty. Please enjoy these 2-minute teasers from each school. class of 2020 is experiencing graduation in unprecedented ways, and we want to hear from you. We would like you to submit a video of yourself answering the following questions. How are you celebrating graduation? What are your plans for the summer in college, and how are they temporarily changed? How are you staying connected with friends, classmates, or faculty? What would you like to say to other graduating seniors and teachers and staff? Your voice matters, and with such a unique time we're living in, we want to memorialize your emotions. This year has been challenging for all of us, and we really don't know for how much longer. So we're asking the class of 2020 to take this opportunity to express who you are, and regardless of the circumstances, how you're moving forward. Please email thelocalscene@pactv.org, and we'll send you a Dropbox link for your video. And congratulations! Elizabeth, back to you.
Thank you, Erica. And thank you for watching this episode of Local Matters, which is a production of the local scene of PAC TV. Visit our website at pactv.org/localscene for a complete list of resources mentioned in this show. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook to keep updated on the ways our community refuses to magnify our differences, but focuses on our common goals for our common good. From all of us at PAC TV, be safe. We'll see you next week.